A very good evening to you. I'm Pearson Bowen. The majority of students at the Samuel Jackman Prescott Polytechnic do not have to worry about a hike in fees, but people in at least one of its programs will have to pay more. This explanation from the principal, he was responding to reports in the press that students at the institution will soon be paying tuition.
In a statement issued through the Government Information Service, SJPP Principal Hector Bell said that students at the Wilde institution have always paid a registration fee. He said, however, a review of the continuing education program showed that the fees are unrealistic. The solution, he said, is for the Polytechnic to ensure that the fee structure is adjusted to reflect the duration of the course instruction. Those charges are to take effect for the new semester in January 2015. It should be noted, according to Mr. Bell, that the course materials, utilities and other support inputs will continue to be subsidized by government. The statement said any change in fees will not apply to full-time students, whose training costs will remain unchanged. Lisa Broom, CBC News.
A university lecturer believes if poor people in Barbados are to continue to shake off the yoke of poverty, they must have access to free tertiary education. This contention from Dr. Henderson Carter, lecturer in history at the University of the West Indies, Cayfield campus. He was delivering a public lecture in celebration of the 375th anniversary of Barbados Parliament at the Frank Cullimore Hall. Dr. Carter says Barbados society has benefited significantly from its investment in state-funded education, and he wants Barbadians to value that investment.
In this country, we still have children, sadly enough. The government pays for their education to write exams, and they do not turn up. That has to stop. We have to value our education so much and recognize that the state is funding it under tremendous pressure, that we must meet the state halfway in making sure that the money is well spent. But I also want to say that state-funded education is the only way out for the poor in this country. There's no other way except, of course, to play lotto.
The number of poor people acquiring academic qualifications has increased in the last few years, but a specialist in social policy development does not think that the figures represent any real gains in education over the period. Dr. Alana Griffith was one of the panelists at a discussion on poverty hosted by the Department of Economics at the University of the West Indies in association with the Economics Society. Dr. Griffith says females, who are most often heads of households, are usually the ones to suffer in these situations.
56% of the poor have no qualifications whatsoever. And when you look at the census data, you find that by 2010, in the 2010 census data, we still have about 33% of the population that have no qualifications. And even for age groups where in the 20 to 24 age group, where you would expect people to have at least a basic, a general CXC, or so at least 3 general CXCs. When you add up those who have just basic CXC, BSSC, and no qualifications, it still comes back to about 30%. So it means that we are missing the mark as it relates to education.
Competition is forcing Barbados' major drink manufacturer to make some significant changes. Among them, retooling its operations in the face of trade challenges and ever-changing market demands. Has the story.
In just a few days, the Barbados Bottling Company will celebrate 70 years in the business. But it's coming at a time when the soft drink industry is at its toughest. But the company is responding to the challenge.
Speaking to the media following a tour of the BBC plant along with Commerce Minister Donald Innes and other officials, Chief Commercial Officer for Banks Holdings Limited, Ray Chiatau, says BBC has had to change the way it does business.
We had to very quickly look at changing our entry-level packaging to be able to provide the marketplace with a size and a price point that was more suited to their palate. So that's why today you now have 4 flavors of fruity, Coke and Sprite in what we call our entry-level package size, which is a 355. So That's a direct reaction to what the market is demanding.
BBC presently employs 72 workers, and the plant features the newest technology in the soft drink industry. The plant's blow molder, which creates the mold for plastic soft drink bottles, produces 19,200 bottles per hour, or about 320 per minute. This has improved efficiency while boosting production levels, especially in the face of export market challenges.
Export market has declined over the years, mainly because of what we talked about here with at the quoted level. You have scenarios where soft drink falls under the Article 164. So products leaving Barbados are impacted with a duty going into many of our sister islands, and therefore it's not competitive once you have to pay a duty going into the islands. The hard part about it is none of those products, any product made in a LDC or MDC, pay any kind of tariff coming into Barbados.
He says the company continues to be recognized as a leader for bottling major international brands like Coke and Sprite, while local brands like Fruity continue to do well. Meanwhile, Minister Innes lauded the company for its achievement and contribution.
Let's just celebrate 70 years of a wonderful Barbadian company that's over the years kept many families happy, directly and indirectly employed many people, and certainly has been able to move from a very manual enterprise to one that is employing the latest in technology.
BBC's anniversary celebrations will continue on Friday with a Custom Appreciation Day, and then on Saturday, staff will paint the Thelma Berry Nursery School. Ryan Broom, CBC News.
Former close friend and confidant of national hero, the Right Excellent Arrow Barrow, Carlton Brathwaite, is dead. The engineer reportedly died this morning. He would be remembered as the Barbadian involved in the controversial HARP project of the 1960s, in which a 119-foot-long gun was erected at Paragon Christchurch for a space research project conducted by Canada's McGill University. CBC also understands that Esme Wickham, the widow of former journalist John Wickham, died yesterday. Ms. Wickham was involved in the development of dancing in Barbados as a choreographer. She was recognized for her work in this area of the National Independence Festival of Creative Arts. We'll have more news ahead in just a moment, but first we want to hear from you on this question. Do you believe Barbadians will eventually have to pay more for tertiary education? Text yes or no to the short code 8111. We'll share the results at the end of the news.
Dear Clark, I've made a fascinating discovery. The institutional water cooler. Its gravitational pull sucks people from their workstations at the busiest times of day to stand around it and chat about emerging global trends like, will pink be in fashion next season? Meanwhile, the world slows to a stop as it waits in line to be served. I don't see that trend at Globe Finance.
Globe Finance. Think outside the bank.
When it comes to their financial service, slow is out, swift is in.
The Barbados Food and Wine and Rum Festival, November 20th to 23rd. Taste the culinary delights of top local and international chefs like Marcus Samuelson, Anne Burrell, Tyler Florence, Roger Mooking, Michael Hines, Dane Sadler, Daphne's Restaurant, and more. The Barbados Food and Wine and Rum Festival, 5th edition, November 20th to 23rd. Visit foodwinerum.com or contact Premier Event Services Inc. at 435-0670. Get your tickets now at Wine World or Ticketpal.com.
During the month of November, the hottest tickets in town are for the 2014 NIFCA Performing Arts Gala. On Sunday, November 23rd from 6 p.m., experience the artistic excellence of Blackman Gollop Primary, Praise Academy of Dance, Louise Woodvine Dance Academy, Dancing Africa, Mosaic Steel Orchestra, Haynesville Youth Club, Justin Polian and Megan Navarro, Tahira Gibbons, Janine White, Adrian Green, and a full cast of the best talent at NIFCA 2014. Tickets, adults $30, children 4 to 12, $10. Available from NCF, Ticket Pal, CS Pharmacy, A&B Sounds, Warren's Ticket Center, and Emerald City Supermarket. Brought to you in association with Digicel, Sagicor, Scotiabank, Massey, and CBC. The 2014 NIFCA Gala. Get your tickets now.
Barbados isn't taking any chances when it comes to labeling. In fact, our standards officers in the Ministry of Commerce have been checking products and earmarking those that are poorly labeled. Commerce Minister Donville Innes says some products have already been denied entry to Barbados, while others have been taken off the shelves of businesses.
We've had instances where the ministry have had to deny entry into Barbados to certain products, or if they're already in, using the law to pull them off the shelves and to deny them. You don't hear a lot about these things, but it does happen without any fanfare. And I think, generally speaking, private enterprise in Barbados have been pretty cooperative with the officers in doing their work.
If anyone enters historic Bridgetown, they will definitely know they're in a World Heritage Site. That's because the lack of signage in that area is now a thing of the past. This is thanks to the launch of the Bridgetown Signage Project. 150 signs will be placed on 80 streets named after well-known Barbadians, such as Wellington Street and Fairchild Street. The project is a collaborative effort between the Ministry of Transport and Works and the World Heritage Committee. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Youth, Ruth Blackman, shared her views on what it means for the signage project to be finally launched.
For too many years within this historic city in particular, there has been a dearth of signage. We at the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Youth recognize this as one of the critical areas that needed to be addressed in light of our drive to educate Barbadians and visitors alike about our UNESCO World Heritage Property. To this end, a Barbados World Heritage Subcommittee for Signage was established, which is headed by the Ministry of Transport and Works.
Well, Transport and Works Minister Michael Lashley described the implementation of the signage as a necessary step in this month of independence.
Sometime in June 2011, Bridgetown and its garrison was nominated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. This designation is significant to heritage tourism, with Barbados being a tourist destination, with this sector being a major foreign exchange earner. My ministry decided to launch the erection of these signs in the month of November to coincide with our celebration of 48 years of independence. As you know, good signage is important not only as a mechanism for road safety, but also to provide persons with suitable directions to various locations.
Well, parents need to watch the way their young children are socialized. That's because there is evidence to suggest that the way in which they're being brought up could lead them to domestic violence. This from United Nations Women's Representative Christine Arab.
What our partners are saying more and more is we need to do more long-term community level work with people to discuss and sort of dissect why that violence is happening. What is the thinking and the teaching that comes and leads to violence? And that's one of the important things we see in partnering with people like Mikey, artists who want to take responsibility for the incredible influence their music has in shaping exactly how people perceive themselves, how boys and girls perceive what is the way to be a man and the way to be a woman. And all of these things, if negatively interpreted, can contribute to violence in the home.
Ms. Arab was speaking during a workshop at United Nations House where the focus was on social mobilization and how it impacts on gender behaviors. She also says social change is another factor that can contribute to domestic violence. Regional news next, but first a reminder that we'd like to hear from you on this question. Do you believe Barbadians will eventually have to pay more for tertiary education? Text yes